Andy Johnson. We are looking at the effects of poverty on teaching and learning. First of all, family income correlates significantly with children's academic success. When they publish these test scores in the newspapers and they're all proud of it, note that these test scores, the most significant variable is parents' level of income and education. High poverty schools receive significantly less state and local money. Teachers tend to be less experienced or unlicensed. Teachers are more often teaching outside their specialty area, most often in math and reading, and they have fewer books and students have fewer literacy opportunities. Now, high poverty schools don't have as much money to pay their teachers. You are not going to attract the quality of teachers when you are not able to pay them as much money in general. This is a truism, whether you're talking about education or working at a store of some place. Common issues in low-income families. There's more often, or tends to be more instances of depression, chemical dependencies, hectic work schedules, hard to really spend time with your children, talking with them, helping with their homework, taking them to the library or the zoo, when you're working two jobs, struggling to make the rent, struggling to earn enough money to pay for groceries. All right, these are all things that interact with and affect learning. More apt to have teen mothers inadequate health care, which affects cognitive, social, emotional development and learning. More apt to experience poor health. Low SES children, more apt to experience substandard housing, be born premature, poor health versus affluent peers. When you're sick, you're not in school. When you're not in school, you're missing major concepts and skills. Poor nutrition, which affects cognitive, social, emotional development and your brain's ability to function. Body and brain under more stress, we'll take a look at that in a minute, and less quality health care. When you have less quality health care, you are sick more often, less able to learn. When you're not feeling well, you are not able to learn. Inability to obtain appropriate health care affects cognitive development and learning. Acute and chronic stressors. A stressor is anything that threatens to disrupt homeostasis. Homeostasis is the body's ability to right itself once it's under stress. Once it is threatened, the body goes into this fight or flight mechanism. And then homeostasis is the body's ability to bring itself back under control. Now, the human body is well adapted to short-term threats to homeostasis, but not so much longer term. Now, acute stress is severe trauma resulting from extreme incidences of violence or abuse. Children in low SES tend to experience that more often than their peers. Chronic stress is high stress sustained over time, acute and chronic. Children living in poverty more apt to be subject to both than their counterparts. Chronic stress over time is more common and exerts a much more negative influence on learning and on cognitive, social, emotional development. Exposure to chronic and acute stress become hardwired into the child's developing brain. This production of the fight or flight stress hormone also atrophies the area of the brain, frontal lobe, that controls emotional regulation, empathy, and social functioning. These stress hormones kick in when we are exposed to stress. Adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine. Those are the three stress hormones. They awash the frontal lobe and makes it less able to function. Chronic stress is an increased allostatic load. That means allostatic, you are less able to return to this healthy baseline. Now, in school, chronic stress is linked to impairment in attention and concentration, reduced cognition, creativity, and memory, diminished social skills, social judgment, reduced motivation, determination, and effort, and increased likelihood of depression. All of this stuff gets in the way of learning, as well as social, emotional, and intellectual cognitive development. Low SES, as I said, more often absent from school. They're not learning, they're missing the key concepts and skills. So what does our society value? Where does our society invest its resources? How do we expect our most precious commodity, the next generation of children, to achieve their full potential if they are not able to eat? How do we address educational issues if we do not first address economic disparity and poverty?